Investing in land in Kenya is one of the most regretted investment decisions in Kenya. Even though land has been one of the best performing asset classes in Kenya compared to bonds and stocks over the last 10 years, if you look at the HAS index that compares the performance of more so land and real estate properties in Kenya versus other investments, we're going to see that maybe land, more so in prime areas in Nairobi and in the surrounding areas, has been one of the best performing asset classes compared to bonds and stocks here locally. But if you look at how individuals have invested in land, you're going to find that almost every investor is struggling with a plot of land that they bought that they are struggling to offload, and maybe they have regretted the decision of maybe investing in land. So investing in land is one of those critical investment decisions that you have to be very careful with it, more so for several Kenyans who don't have the required levels of financial literacy. So in this video, I'm going to be highlighting some of the key things that you should be very careful with when investing in land, more so when adding land as an asset class in your investment portfolio. When should you add it into your investment portfolio? What are some of the key things that you should be looking at when you're thinking about land as an asset to add to your portfolio. So if you love this video, if you love educational content on personal finance, investments, and financial markets, consider subscribing to my channel, so I'll be releasing more videos that can help you make much informed and even smart investing decisions. Yes, investing in land has been one of the most successful, maybe one of the best performing investments in the Kenyan market compared to what bonds and stocks have done over the last 10 years. As you can see in this HAS index report that has compared the returns and maybe the performance of different asset classes. That's the performance of land and real estate, the performance of bonds and stocks. You can see that land has actually been the clear winner. But if you look at how individuals have made these investment decisions, you're going to find that still some people have made these decisions and have actually regretted investing in land because of the different aspects that land and real estate adds to your portfolio. So here I'm going to be highlighting some of the key disadvantages that actually position your land investments in your portfolio that can actually harm your portfolio, maybe make it a bad investment for you. So number one is that land does not generate any cash flows. So unlike bonds that gives you coupon payments, money market funds that gives you interest payments, as unlike stocks that give you dividend income, idle pieces of land does not generate any cash flow. So that means you may be a multi-millionaire worth maybe owning millions and millions of land, but then again you are struggling to make ends meet because you don't actually have any asset that's putting money to your pocket. Land does not actually generate any cash flow unless you develop it and get some economic activity under that piece of land. Then number two, land is very illiquid. So let's say you have all your savings into a piece of land and then you urgently have a financial emergency. So by the moment you start thinking of selling that piece of land, it is actually a very long process, and before you find a willing buyer, you clear the process of selling a piece of land. It will take a very long period of time that you may find yourself even taking emergency loans and even borrowing money from your friends unless you had an emergency fund. So those two key elements, having a cash generating assets before you consider buying land, and even having an emergency fund before you consider buying land, maybe adding land as an asset class, can make your portfolio not be very solid. Maybe it can make your portfolio not have a good foundation, and that means that you're always going to be in danger because number one, you don't have free cash flows that's supplementing your active income, more so if you are retired or if you wanted to maybe supplement your active income sources from the investments that you're making. Then number two, the nature of you not having a liquid savings available to you means that every time you have a financial emergency, you cannot access your savings easily, maybe your wealth, because it is held in idle assets. So before you actually get to invest in land, if you still want it to be a good investment and a good addition to your portfolio, it's essentially that you first have an emergency fund in place, because you already have a fallback plan, but you can always have a backup plan whenever you have a financial emergency, maybe whenever you need an immediate financial boost to maybe offset something. And then number two, it's always good to prioritize maybe cash generating assets in your portfolio before you actually consider adding speculative assets or maybe idle assets to your portfolio. So you can first add the bonds, the stocks, the money market funds in your portfolio, then you can actually afford the luxury of having an idle asset that you don't actually depend on it to generate any income for you, or that even you're not looking at for the next 5 years, but then you can look it in the long term in terms of capital appreciation and capital growth. So whenever you look at land as an investment, there are many factors that make us as Kenyans favor investing in land compared to other investments. So some of these factors include, number one is that land is a very tangible asset class. So compared with investing in stocks, bonds, and even offshore, you're going to find that if I'm investing in land, I have a title deed that I can actually brag it and show you, okay, I own these pieces of land because I have these title deeds. I can actually take you to those pieces of land and show you. You see this point of land, maybe from this mark here up to that extensive place, I own that piece of land. But then if you compare at that with other things like stocks and bonds. I can only maybe open to you my brokerage account and still doesn't give the same feeling or maybe bragging rights as maybe owning a title deed, or maybe taking it to the field and showing that maybe there's a piece of land. So the tangible nature of land makes it maybe more appealing into local investors. And then number 2, our financial literacy levels in Kenya are wanting, because most people don't know of the alternative asset classes that exist. Maybe they only know about investing in land and real estate, so maybe they don't know how to invest in stocks, crypto, offshore stocks, ETFs, mutual funds, money market funds, and all these other kind of asset classes. So our financial literacy levels have made us maybe victims of maybe poor or maybe bad investment decisions, or maybe having only a limited investment options or decisions to choose from. Then number 3, you also have to be very careful with land, because there is aggressive marketing in our Kenyan markets. If you look at your radio station, your TV station, your favorite influencers, all the billboards on our roads, we are all trying to push the narrative that maybe land is the best investment. So if you're not doing your own research, if you're not listening to other markets and other asset classes and how they're performing, you're actually going to find that maybe the only asset class that you have exposure to, it's land, because of the aggressive marketing that these companies are using and the tactics that they're using to actually convince us that maybe land is the ultimate investment that you can partake. So with all that said, just to maybe summarize maybe why you should be very careful with land as an investment. Number 1, it's not very liquid. It's very illiquid. Actually, it's a solid asset. It's very hard to liquidate the asset if you urgently need cash. And we all know that it doesn't matter how worthy an investment is, it is actually useless if you can't urgently convert it into cash when you need the cash. Then number 2, it doesn't generate any cash flows. Remember, cash is king, and cash is the thing that we use to meet our needs. So if you don't have an asset that puts money in your pocket, then you don't have actually the luxury to own an idle asset. Then number 3, always be careful with whenever you are doing the land buying process, because you have seen a lot of investors being duped in the market. Recently, we had some developers and some companies that I'm not going to mention, that have gone away, or maybe that have run away with people's money because of the crazy nature that people are obsessed with land and investing in plots of land. So always be very careful with that. Then number 4, the last thing being, these land and real estate companies, they invest a lot in terms of the advertising, maybe their marketing budget, so that they can get willing buyers. So let's say for you as an individual and you are buying a piece of land, or maybe a plot of land in the middle of nowhere, how are you going to be assured that maybe if you're buying this piece of land for speculative purposes and you want maybe to sell it for the next 5 years after it has appreciated in value, how sure are you that maybe you're going to get a buyer who is going to maybe buy a piece of land in the middle of nowhere and you don't have that marketing budget that these companies have? So even selling land as an individual sometimes can be very hard, because there are people who have been stuck with properties that have been trying to sell for so long that have never sold. So before you invest in land, always think about investing in land along those dimensions, along those dynamics. Do you have an emergency fund? Do you have other asset classes? Does your portfolio actually afford you, maybe accord you the luxury of owning idle assets? So that's it on investing in land and land as an investment. So let me know what you think about investing in land. Do you agree with my sentiments, or maybe do you oppose my sentiments? Do you think that maybe there are some things, maybe there are some elements that I've missed in my discussion, maybe in my elaboration? You can always let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's it on land as a form of investment. Let me know what you think in the comments. And in case you want other videos on personal finance, investments, and videos that will help you make more and maybe better financial decisions, you can always subscribe to my channel, as I'm going to be releasing more videos, more content that can always help you make better and informed financial decisions. So that's it from me from this episode. See you in the next one.